Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Fear the Walking Dead is back, and so are we. Tim, Alonso with episodes 9 and 10 of season 3, the Minotaur and the Diviner. So we're picking up after the death of Jeremiah Otto and the fragile peace with the native nation. And it doesn't take long for things to go not well.
What?
I know.
Fear the Walking Dead, things aren't going according to plan. That's crazy talk. Yeah, so Jake is still kind of sick from anthrax. I guess that's a thing that takes a while to get over.
Not an easy.
Nick and Troy have forged an uneasy friendship.
Yeah, weirdly enough, they seem to be coming at things from different angles, but still finding this sort of enough of a Venn diagram in the middle of shared intent that. Yeah.
Troy has this relationship with the Clark family that I think he's going to like make out with any one of them at any time. When he has a really impassioned scene with Nick and he's like, I'm so glad you're here. Like I needed company for the end. And it's like, Madisyn, I thought you wanted me with you. Like any moment, like Troy's just gonna jump over that barrier.
It's like one of those movies, where the handsome, enigmatic, stranger comes into the house and like seduces every member of the household. Yeah.
I'd watch it.
Definitely, there's a bit of that vibe going here for sure. We were talking before how like not a lot of Walking Dead in either of these episodes. Which is,
dead people, yeah, for sure. Which
is okay. I mean, just because I think they have enough other plot to deal with. But in looking at both these episodes, the scenes that I felt resonated the most are the ones about the kind of core characters, and I mean not even necessarily the Ottos as much as like our core initial characters, so it's Madisyn and her children, and then eventually, Strand's return. I care more about them.
And the Salazars too.
And the Salazars, of course, yeah. I care more about them and their way of getting through this stuff than pretty much anything else, because the thing about this show is, I mean, part of it is that it's baked in because of the fact that it's set however many years before Walking Dead is happening, but also because neither show seems to have any kind of end point, like Battlestar Galactica, will they make it back to Earth? There are certain shows that The Fugitive, will he find the one-armed man? That seem to be building toward a thing that will resolve stuff. And these, you just get the impression of like, it's, society is gonna maybe like turn into something else or crumble entirely, but
they're all just waiting to die at different speeds.
Kind of, yeah. It's more so it's about the day to day, and not you don't feel like that's going somewhere. And so once you take the where's this thing going out of the equation, then all you're left with is the immediate circumstances and that kind of thing. And so.
You could accuse the show of being directionless. You could accuse it of having pacing issues because it doesn't have a destination, and you wouldn't be wrong on either.
No, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, that is a way to do a show. I mean, Star Trek, if it had kept going, they would have kept trekking. Like their whole thing was this.
They weren't searching for a new planet.
Exactly.
They were just searching.
Their 2-year mission or however many year mission they would have just extended it. But yeah, this one because ultimately that. Whatever happens, no good will come of it. Whatever momentary.
Especially if it's Madisyn's idea.
This is true. Yes, definitely. She's got she has a curse on her or something. But yeah, and any momentary respite on this show is only momentary.
Yeah.
You know that it's going to get undone or destroyed, or it's going to turn out to be a terrible thing in disguise. And so then what you're left with is the characters themselves and how they cope with each thing as it happens. And so. As soon as they arrived on the ranch, it's like, well, this will be a thing for a while, but eventually, that thing's gonna go up in flames. We just know that. We know, like the boat, like every settlement along the way, like something along the line is gonna fuck it up. Human beings are gonna ruin it. The walkers are gonna ruin it. Everybody's gonna ruin it. And so then what are you watching it for? What do you want it to be? And so for me, it's really just become about Madisyn keeping her kids alive at all costs, Madisyn's friendship with Strand, the Salazars sort of working their way through the world, and then everybody else just kind of ultimately sort of feels de facto like you're not going to be around. It's that thing, they would say in like Vietnam movies where like the new guy shows up, I'm not even going to learn your name yet because you might not be here tomorrow, And so we're left with this world where everyone and everything is so transitory that the only thing that you can really kind of anchor yourself into, I guess, are those main characters.
So let's talk about some character development real quick. I will say, to the show's credit, what's going on at the ranch is not anything that's ever happened on The Walking Dead.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You wouldn't know that, but the settlements that we see on The Walking Dead all seem to fall into the same patterns with different flavors and varieties mixed in. But the ranch is a wholly new thing, I think. And then you could probably prove me wrong in the comments. I'll look forward to that. But so we've got Madisyn, and all she cares about is her kids, doubly so now that Travis is gone.
Right.
But I'm seeing some interesting character development from both Nick and Alicia.
True, yes.
Nick is not a junkie, fuck up, self-destructive person anymore.
No.
He's got a horse in this race, it's called survival.
Yeah.
He seems to be invested in both the health of his family, himself, and the community that they've sort of gathered.
He feels a lot more engaged in the world, I think, than where he started. And Alicia, yeah, absolutely. She has always sort of been saddled with being the responsible one, being the fuck up sister, you know? And you can see that starting to wear on her. Like the moment that Madisyn tells her, you were always the strong one, I ached a little inside. It's like, ugh, don't tell her that. She's sick of hearing that. And so that moment at the end of the second episode where she goes, I don't want to be the strong one. Like that was such a great moment.
At least I'm not burdened with being mom's favorite.
Right.
Ooh, daggers.
But oh man, that whole conversation about like why are we working so hard to make her love us? It's like, ouch. Because
meanwhile, she's off jeopardizing the lives of hundreds for a friend she remembers.
Well, I mean, I think there is that, and I think that certainly goes into the decision. But I think it is in the service of a truly pragmatic one. Which is like
she's looking at the longer solution rather than the shorter.
She's playing the long game.
That's quite a bet, though. That guaranteed water now for weeks
versus the idea of a dam
that you know about where everyone hates you there.
Right,
like that's a gamble.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Granted, but she could at least back that decision.
Sure.
Up. You know, if she needs to.
Especially since she already did it.
Exactly.
Too late without discussing it with
I'm dumb, and maybe it's just because we've been away for a while and I've forgotten. What are they trading for the water?
Gold.
Is that what that was?
It sounded like gold coins hitting a table. We never saw it.
I couldn't tell. Like,
it could very well easily be the secret of the ooze from the Ninja Turtles.
They were condoms. I didn't know. Like just these things. The camera never gives you like a good fat look at them, so I wasn't sure what we were.
The Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, exactly. Bingo. But yeah, so the Otto brothers, I think are also moving along. I mean, they're not really changing very much, but they are certainly digging in as far as the ground they've staked out. Troy is definitely still trying to be the peacemaker. Still trying to. Wait, am I getting it right?
Jake is trying to be
the peacemaker, trying to smooth everything out, and Jake is
Troy.
Sorry. Troy is like digging in further, and to the point where he creates this standoff once his brother has handed over all the weapons, and then that's what gets Nick involved, and then Nick somehow gets credit from the other militia guys as having been a part of this thing when he didn't want to be, so he decides to use that.
Someone should have set the record straight slightly earlier.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kooky misunderstandings, but
we're gonna throw your son into the hot box in the middle of the desert for a few days. But he's innocent, but I won't say that loud enough for anyone to hear. So I'll be right back, sweetie. I'm going to get water. You stay cool.
But the idea of using their incorrect idea of his allegiances as a way to quell the resistance, that's kind of a cool idea. That's a
I would have said it's a really bad idea, but the nation is making it really hard to be on their side.
Well, yeah.
They're being kind of dicks about it.
They are kind of being dicks. And as much as I thought, like when Alicia says we only have 6 weeks of water left, first I was like, oh, we don't say that out loud. But then it was sort of A, inevitable they figured out, and B, like they needed to kind of know what they were doing, which of course then leads to the nation being super dicks about it.
Okay, you go get your water, we'll stay our water. You're still gonna do the 2 gallons a day thing? Okay, great, get all the water.
Yeah, but no, I liked Nick kind of playing both sides in that respect. I thought that was kind of cool. But the standoff itself doesn't make a lot of sense, particularly the moment where he decides, here's how I'm gonna get him to stand down. I'm gonna tell him I killed his father because he's armed and what bad thing could happen. It's like, That the show is really relying on like of the
Clark's having a great understanding of the human condition and exactly what anyone's gonna do when put under extreme stress while armed in any situation.
Exactly, like the pie chart of not getting shot in the face and giving up is very small, whereas like will kill me for having murdered his father, I think is really big. So that was a giant gamble that I don't really quite even buy, but I guess the show had to get us there.
The show wants me to believe that Troy is this crazy, unpredictable psychopath, but he has so many moments of, I get why you did that, I don't blame you, I understand that you understand me. And I'm not gonna shoot you in the face right now for inexplicable reasons.
Well, I think we get the other militia guys being sort of more twitchy and trigger happy to make Troy look relatively sane.
Conniving. I'm under the impression that the nation wasn't double dipping at the well, and they were trying to stir stuff up.
It's certainly possible. I'd have to go back and I'd have to zapruder the footage there.
I think it just leaves the audience up to you decide.
Sure, yeah. But I mean, they were clearly inclined to make snap horrible judgments about what they were up to or whatever. So yeah.
And then Alicia finally figures out what gesture will bring people together. And that is, you're all going to die unless we work together.
Right.
And here's something we can work together on.
Yeah, and it as hokey and excessively metaphorical as that moment might have been, they kind of sell it. Like I bought it. It makes sense in the context of the moment, and so it somehow magically eluded being as heavy-handed as it might have been, I think. But some people may have found it heavy-handed, I don't know.
It was a little heavy-handed.
It's a little heavy-handed, but I don't know. I think
also, I'm under the impression divining rods don't work.
Well, probably not.
Okay.
I mean, they're generally considered to be like a pseudoscience, but there are people who put faith in them, and
faith is what the show is all about.
Well, there you go.
And people.
And TV has a weird way of making Native American mysticism like a bigger deal than it may be, and not a bigger deal, but like putting more credence in it than they would if it were another religion or another belief system, I'm
just glad that the episode didn't end with a shovel striking the ground and like water coming up.
Yeah, that would have been a bit de trop.
So I mean this.
But yeah, the idea of like sink or swim, we're stuck in this together, and even if you guys try and hoard the water and kill us all, like it's only going to take you guys so far either. So you better start. You'll dig now or dig later, know.
Which makes me actually wonder where the water's going to come from, because things are going to go poorly at the dam.
One would imagine. Yeah, I don't know.
Although they do have the trump card of we do have Ophelia for reals this time.
This is true.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, again though, like I said, I don't know how long they're going to stay at the ranch. I think that like everything else on, I imagine both of these shows, but certainly on this one, like it's going to be their saving grace until it isn't.
I won't lie to you, I'm not sick of the ranch. I find they've been doing a lot of compelling and interesting things at the ranch.
I in no way feel like we're stuck there or that they're spinning their wheels. I'm just saying, again, as somebody who hasn't watched Walking Dead, but just from this show, every time they show up at like, the palatial mansion in LA or the palatial mansion in Mexico or the boat or the this or the that, like it always somehow falls apart.
The post-apocalyptic world has a very short shelf life on safety.
Exactly, yeah. So it just, so then this notion that, and Otto obviously knew it. He had the locked drawer with the water maps, in it. And of course, and obviously,
that's a little Deus Ex.
Well, if we stick around to the ranch, maybe we'll find out what's on those cassettes. Like there's a locked drawer holds infinite possibilities.
We haven't seen the last of Troy. He is
clearly
exile,
not.
But he will be back.
Yes,
in more than just a fever dream of Nick's.
Absolutely.
And we didn't really talk a whole lot about Daniel and the dam this time, but their arc is playing out pretty much like you'd expect.
Yeah, it almost sort of felt like, oh, so we're gonna have 2 water riots tonight, so yeah, it's not there. We're not learning that much new about him or the situation. It's sort of, yeah, you're right. It's pretty much.
I haven't researched it deeply enough to know why they can't just say, oh, here's where the water is. Everybody take as much as you want. Like it's a pretty big reservoir. I don't know how many people are left that need it, but they feel obligated to continue to divvy it out on a rationed basis.
Well, they saw Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay,
They know how this thing works. You know that.
At the end of the movie, they do let everyone have as much water.
Right? Yes, but they want to be more like they want to be a
benevolent
they want to be a Morden Joe. They want to control that shit and make everybody do their bidding. Because I mean, it's because who's even running the dam now? Is it still the organized crime guy?
No, he's dead.
He died, right?
Now it's his subordinate who is a good person, we think.
But not so good that he's actually giving away the money. Yeah, right, her.
They were like, oh, you were the angel and now you're the devil.
Yes.
Because you're in charge and that comes with the territory. And she's like, nah, people love water and they love me and it'll be great.
Oh, and look, here comes an empty tanker.
I wonder what Luciana will think if she comes back to the ranch and it's full of brown people. That was the reason she couldn't stay, right?
Oh, that's right. Oh, sure, now.
Why didn't we do this before, guys?
Exactly, yeah. And do we even know where she is? Was she
exiled,
just
like Troy?
I don't think they're going to cross paths necessarily, but you never know. And we were saying before, why the Minotaur?
Yes. Okay. So, audience, I don't know why episode 8 is called the Minotaur. If you could help me, I recognize that the bazaar happens in a Matador stadium. That's a little thin for my liking, so please help me with the symbolism.
Yeah, who or what is the Minotaur? We're not entirely sure. Anyway, all right, so we'll be back. This is another, I think this is a 6-week run until Walking Dead comes back in October. So
sounds right.
We'll be back every week. Hope y'all will too. Thanks.